He raises it fast and points it at Leila's father. You love to try our patience, don't you? You just can't resist pushing everything to the brink. Leila's father ignores him. Okay, big guy, Liev says, this is your last warning. I'm telling you to leave now. You can hear the click as he undoes the safety catch on his gun. Leila's father doesn't even look up. His work doesn't quicken or slow down. With his back to Liev, he carries on turning the soil. Leila hasn't moved from her spot on the path. There really is only one language you people understand, isn't there? Says Liev. His arm is trembling now, the gun jiggling at the end of his stiff, tense arm. I know I ought to intervene, but my body refuses to move. The air seems to thicken as Leila's father continues to turn the soil, with Liev's pistol trained at his head. The gun tracks his movements as he works slowly back and forth. High above, the drone is still buzzing away. I sense that an invisible thread between the two men is being pulled tighter and tighter. Any second, it will snap.
Liev is the stepfather of Joshua. He is an asshole, to put it mildly. And it's a lot about the conflict between Joshua and Liev. And in the end, Joshua and his mother get away from Liev. What kind of a stepfather would be like this? Because as a stepfather, you're replacing the real father, who in this place has died. But Liev is making no attempts to be best friends with Joshua. He's harsh to him, he controls him, he forbids him everything, and in the end, almost kills him. So, what's wrong with Liev?
Well, he starts off wanting to ingratiate him with the son, but it doesn't work. I think you often get this with step-parents. There's a scene earlier in the novel when he's first trying to make his way into the family, where he does try quite hard to become friends with the stepson, but the stepson, Joshua, rejects him because he loves his father. He's younger when this happens. He thinks it's a good thing that this man has arrived because he's being friendly to his mother. His mother is very grief-stricken after their father has been killed. And he's a child, he doesn't know how to look after his grieving mother, he's grieving himself, and when this man appears in the family, initially he thinks it's a good thing. And then there's one moment that's described in the book where he suddenly realized that this man is trying to take his father's place. Is trying to become his father. And from that moment on, and he hates that idea. Legitimately, perhaps, or perhaps it's a psychologically complex thing, but I think it's psychologically plausible that he doesn't want a new father. He loves his father, he's dead, he's still grieving for his father, and that somebody else is going to get into his mother's bed, somebody else is going to think of himself as a new father to him. That idea really upsets him. So he pushes his stepfather away, and the more he pushes the father away, the more the father wants him back. But also, as I said, eventually the stepfather realizes he's not going to get anywhere with Joshua. And the two men, effectively, they're fighting over the mother. The mother's caught in the middle. And again, I think you see this in families, even without a stepfather sometimes, between a father, a son, and a mother. You often get they can both be fighting for the mother's affections, fighting for the mother's loyalty, and she's stuck between these two men. And also, as I said earlier, the book is in some ways a moral fable, and in some ways a fable about Israel. And I think there are three main positions in Israeli society. There are the peacemakers, people who want peace. There are people who just have no interest in making any concessions to make peace, people who just believe in using violence to get Israel what it needs. And there are people in the middle who are stuck in the middle. And in a sense, this family has one person in each of those three positions. So the stepfather represents that. And that there are these three positions. And obviously, he's an extreme character. But I think when you go to the settlers, some but not all of the settlers are very extreme. And a lot of the settlers are more extreme than they're religious fundamentalists. And obviously, I'd hate it for anyone to read the book and think that this is that all fathers in Israel are like Liev. He's an extremist, but it's important. There are some extremists there. There are extremists everywhere. There are Islamic extremists. they're a Christian fundamentalist. In a sense, what this book is, it's an attack on fundamentalism and an attack on extremism. And the stepfather happens to be a Jewish fundamentalist, a Jewish extremist, but I think extremism is extremism. And any kind of extremism, of any religious extremism that is expressed through violence, is a huge force in our society at the moment, and it's something that people should stand against. Whatever religion it's purporting to represent, I think extremism and religiously motivated violence is always wrong.